What up, everybody? Welcome back to the Anime Version Podcast. This is our 5th episode ever. Today we are looking at Attack on Titan Season 3, Part 2. You got me, Gozen from Anime Uproar, and my co-host, Briggs. What up, Briggs?
What's up, Gozen? Always good to be here. This last season, just rewatching it, or the second half of the season, was insane.
It is so insane, man. I was telling them before we started the podcast, I was like, nothing should be this good. This is so fucking good. And of course, we got Ray, the Attack on Titan and anime version. What up, Ray?
What up, guys? I totally understand now what you mean about this series.
Yep.
You got me, definitely.
It just keeps getting better, right? With every season, with every part, it's like, okay, this went from amazing to even more amazing somehow.
Exactly. Yeah, it's no longer just a matter of cool Titan battles. Now it's a matter of blowing your mind in the most complicated and awesome way. So I love the basement reveal. I think that I still remember the feeling when I was reading that manga and I figured out that technology is way more advanced than we thought at first, and that these guys, because I thought the whole world was in these kinds of Middle Ages, and then all of a sudden these guys are in pre-World War I or World War II or whatever. And I was like, holy shit, man, you got me. That was crazy. So, yeah, that was probably one of the craziest moments, one of my favorite moments in the entire series, if not my favorite moment.
And from our timeline, we waited, or at least I was an anime only at this time. I waited how many years? 5+ years to see what was in the basement. From the first episode, they teased what's in the basement.
Yeah,
the first couple episodes.
How you can stick to anime. I don't get how people can stick to anime, man. I mean, how could you not want to figure out what's gonna happen next?
I think once I read the end of this season, or watched the end of this season, I started reading the manga. But we got to go over to Ray and just see his reaction to this, man.
Yeah, so definitely the best sequence of episodes we've seen so far. I would argue, I don't think it's a controversial take at all, but the whole basement situation has driven the plot like no other event within the show.
And it did not disappoint, which is super hard to do. By the way, Sam, thank you for the donations, for the resub, or for the gift subs. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
In terms of looking at the episodes as a whole, it's interesting because the first few, I don't want to say are necessarily slow, but there's nothing too shocking that happened. You get the Armin situation. But I think it's the 8th episode in. You're given all of that backstory about the Eldians. And it's just wow. That whole episode was arguably the most important in the entire series. So that was crazy. And I had to go back a number of times to make sure I got everything correctly with Amir, with the situation with Aaron's father. So yeah, tons of useful information, and the whole world has just expanded, and it's made the story so much better. And I was afraid that the story would just be humans versus Titans and that dichotomy, but now that it's the biggest enemy right now are the humans themselves, and it's this battle between human and human, and I love that.
Now Titans are patriots, right? As Aaron said in the last thing. Now Titans are the guys who are actually fighting for their freedom and Eldian freedom. So these guys they've been murdering were actually punished by the Marleyans because they were trying to save Eldia and restore the Eldian Empire. So holy crap, bro. A Sixth Sense kind of level twist. I prefer it even to that, but it was so good. So good.
Yeah. And we get that crazy twist too of it would be Dina, right?
That's we could say Dinah. I used to say Dina, but they say Dinah in the dub, so I'm guessing that's the proper way to say it.
Talk about everything coming together in such a crazy coincidental way. How she was the one who ate his mother, and she has a connection with the father.
How much of a coincidence is it, though? That's the question.
I don't know. Nothing necessarily is a coincidence, it seems, in the show.
She said, I will find you no matter what, Grisha. Yeah. And then she comes to the house. She was an abnormal, ignoring other people, and went straight for the wife, bro. What the fuck?
You stole my man.
the revenge
The
of a jealous
revenge.
woman Titan, bro. That was crazy.
I think the coolest thing for me, I don't know if this is a spoiler. I don't think it is. The coolest thing for me is, so we know that Eren has the coordinate, right? Or some level of he has
yeah.
dormant abilities to control Titans, but he's not able to because he's not of the bloodline. So, like, I remember like just not understanding. And I think someone explained it to me, or it was explained in the anime at some point. The reason he was able to control Titans at one point was because he punched the mom, like the Titan.
Yeah,
Like his hand connected with the Titan, and because she's of royal blood, he was able to control it. And I just freaked out. Oh my god.
Yeah, so Ray, you got that, right?
Yeah, because he makes that theory near the end there, and he doesn't want anyone to know about it.
I wasn't sure if it was. I couldn't remember if it was a spoiler or not.
Yeah, it's not, but I agree. I was confused. I remember being confused at that part because I was like, why would he fear for Historia if they might just make him touch her or something like that? You know what I mean? But yeah, it seems like it's important that she was a Titan, right? So Eren doesn't want them to turn her into a Titan so they could actually use his power.
We also get as well, so that's the coordinate, like special, I guess, technique, ability, whatever you want to call it. Are we given the characteristic of the attack Titan?
Well, we are right now in this part. We're told that characteristic wise, we have to guess. So far, he looks like he has super strength compared to a lot of Titans because he lifted that ship. Remember, Kruger lifted that ship. Eren lifted that huge boulder that no one thought even a Titan would really be able to lift. So I think super strength is one aspect. Then another aspect is it's always moving forward, seeking freedom. That's one thing that was said about it. And after this season, it looks like it can see the future, right? Because Kruger mentions Mikasa and Armin, which also blew my fucking mind when I watched it.
So that's what I was going to infer, because I don't think we're necessarily told that, but I think that the idea that Kruger says, yeah, I could predict them, I know who they are, but he doesn't know how, and at the same time, Eren can refer back to the past. That would be a characteristic of the Attack Titan, right?
That he can refer back to the past?
Well, he's getting all of these memories of the past that...
Yeah, I don't think that's an Attack on Titan thing. I think it's just when you inherit stuff, you get memories from
the previous Titan. So I think any Titan shifter would have that ability.
Okay.
I do want to say, though, I think we're super excited about this season that we just kind of jumped right into it. We should probably start at the beginning a little bit here.
Yeah, exactly. We usually kind of go over some exciting parts to get you guys excited for later on. But yeah, Ray, you could start at the beginning and take us through it. I don't even remember exactly where this one starts now. And
so I think it starts with Eren and the other scouts. They're on their mission to retake Wall Maria, and they have to go through Eren's hometown, the one we saw from season 1. And I believe he says it's the first time he's ever gone through that hometown and returned there since leaving.
Exactly. Yeah, so they're on the mission. They're trying to retake the wall. They're going to try to seal it up and hopefully figure out what's in the basement, right? That's their goal right now.
Yeah. So yeah, you get Eren there using his Harding ability on the wall. Oh, yeah. Armin starts spotting clues about Titans being between the walls. And then, we get the situation with Rhaenys between them. And when they spot him,
so we have that situation. Yeah, we have that situation where Reiner and Bertolt are hiding, and you kind of took it through us quick, but for a while they're wondering, where the fuck could they be, right? And not to take away from Armin figuring out that they could be in the walls, right? Because no one else was expecting that.
Yeah, I loved Erwin's trust in Armin and just being trust him. He's the leader now of your little group. Whatever he says goes type of thing. And Armin's I think they're in the walls.
Erwin is a gambler, right?
He's a gambler.
So he picks, he follows his gut, and then he is completely committed to that choice. There's no regret along the way.
Well, I think as a leader and his position in this type of world, you can't hesitate, right? And you
No,
can't play it
exactly.
safe either. Clearly, playing it safe is not going to work when you're like
Playing it safe is waiting to die in this world.
exactly.
Yes. And yeah, it's funny because everybody is like getting off Armin's energy, and they're like, we're not gonna fucking trust this guy, right? And everyone's like, you will trust him. There's no other way. He is a genius. And people are like, yeah, let's do it. It's so funny. So even though Armin, in a way, Erwin says Armin can pretty much figure this out better than him. So in a sense, intellectually, he's giving praise to Armin, but Armin's lacking that leadership, which Erwin makes up for. So later, when we deal with Erwin's, demise, which we'll get to, that role has to be filled.
R.I.P. my favorite character. This is so sad.
I know. I felt bad for you there, Briggs.
I mean, yeah, but what a way to fucking
What a way to go.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And, I mean, Briggs
Epic
knows
way.
this, and this is in a lot of shonen anime, Ray, where very cool characters die in a cool way.
And I think his death is part of what made him my favorite character in Attack on Titan.
Exactly. And that's part of it too. Like, I'm not going to name any specific characters just in case Ray ever wants to watch One Piece, but there are characters in One Piece which the way they die is it participates in their legendary status and how awesome they are.
Mm-hmm. Man, imagine Ray jumps to One Piece. 1,000 chapters.
Well, it's funny because you guys did the One Piece version, but someone's going to do like another version of a read through eventually, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Ray is down for anything. That's what I've learned being his friend. He's down for
Hell yeah.
literally doing any kind of project.
Some of my favorite people.
Yeah. Anime
But,
specific.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not get an
Don't
idea.
take it to that point, bro. No one took it that way until you said it. But no, carry on with the walls, and they finally figure out that Reiner is in the walls.
Yeah. So, and even like prior to going a bit further, I have so much respect for Armin within these episodes. Like, he had great time to shine. I love how he was able to spot that. And what comes up soon after is when Reiner transforms into the Titan. And we get the situation where we see the Beast Titan outside, and he wants to block them in. He's going after the horses so that no one could actually escape. We get, I think that's when Eren ends up transforming as well, and he ends up going after Reiner, and they kind of like tumble as well. I think one point like Eren's punted against the wall, which is crazy to see. But
yeah, that's when the Colossal Titan kicks him, right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, was it the Colossal Titan?
Yeah, because when he's punted, it makes me think like he was the football and he was kicked, right? That's what you mean. Yeah. So definitely the Armored Titan can't kick like that. No.
Yeah, no.
It was the Colossal Titan, but that's a bit later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that rematch, right, with Eren and the Armored Titan.
Yeah, the main takeaways they have that new technology now, the Thunder Spears.
Yes, Thunder Spears,
which is pretty sick. How it could basically go through the armor, so they've been able to deal with that. And speaking of armor as well, I think this is the first time where Eren's fists are able to develop armor.
Yeah. Yes. So now that he's learned hardening, he can actually focus into his fists.
Yeah.
And finally, the Armored Titan was actually OP as fuck up to this point. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, aside from the wrestling thing, being able to destroy his armor, which kind of they figured out, there was nothing they could do. Like, you can't punch him, you can't, cut him because of the armor. But after this battle, he gets significantly nerfed in the sense that now Eren can just punch the armor off. Now people can just Thunder Spear him, and the armor is pointless. So... yeah, this fight compared to the last one, the Armor Titan has been nerfed so hard.
Oh yeah,
and
I'm glad that they learned from
those powers. Just
when you face an obstacle like that, they had to develop some type of way to deal with him because he was crazy overpowered. You literally couldn't touch him. Someone as powerful as Mikasa is useless in that fight against the Armored Titan.
Yeah, how crazy was that? And the other crazy shit we see in here, which we could jump to it or we can come back to it later, is how literally his head can be cut off, and the dude can put his consciousness in his Titan body and use the Titan's brain in order to keep alive. Like, it's crazy. Like, how OP are these Titan shifters? It's insane.
Is that something specific to him or all Titans?
Well, I don't remember seeing it. I'm only saying up to this point, so I'm not going to talk about the future. So
all right.
Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But up till now, I think we only saw him do this level of regeneration where even if you're separated from your brain, you could actually survive and you could actually keep your memory.
What was it that he did? He transferred his consciousness across his entire body rather than just in his brain or something like that?
Specifically into the Titan's brain as well, I believe, because that's the only way he could actually maintain the memories.
Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Brain, right? Because otherwise, even if you saved yourself, if your brain is gone, how are you going to maintain your memories and stuff like that? So, yeah, like he kind of used the Titan body, if I remember correctly, from when I used to analyze the manga really close in the Titan powers. And then in that way, he actually managed to survive, and not only survive, keep his memories and figure out what was going on.
Well, the rest of his body could regenerate, right? Even if everything else, most of his body is destroyed, if he's able to transfer his consciousness, then if it regenerates, he's still fine. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Reiner survived a lot of stuff. You just said in chat. Levi messed him up right before he transformed as well.
Bro, I call him the plot armored Titan. And you know what plot armor means, Ray?
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It's like no matter what happens,
I'm so proud of myself.
Exactly, and everybody, it's like no matter what, Batman's not gonna die in the Batman animated series.
Don't you remember I made the reference either last episode or the episode before about when Eren eats that weird kind of, it's not a pill, but whatever that is, and his body is able to hold up the underground.
Said it was 2X Machina, right?
Yeah, but I did mention how he eats the plot armor. I made the reference there.
So that's good too. Yeah, exactly. And this guy, Reiner has been through some crazy shit, right? We remember still one of my favorite moments, where he's like, yo, Eren, I'm the Armored Titan, this is the Colossal Titan. In that moment, they also got him, right? Mikasa got him, but not well enough. And he was close to dying so many times. Emir saved his ass. Marcel saved his ass. I really think Isayama, the creator of Attack on Titan, is trolling us with constantly putting Reiner in situations where he should die and he doesn't. Even more than Eren, I would argue. But yeah, we could carry on.
Yeah, so let's see where we are. Did we mention at all about I alluded to how, without knowing it, the Colossal Titan ended up punting Eren, but before then we get the Rhino waking up, ending up roaring, and then that signaling the Beast Titan to throw the barrel with Berthold in it, and him transforming. So, we get that situation.
Berthold transforming alone is a threat. It's a weapon. They throw him above, and him transforming, because he's so big, it's like you're dropping a freaking nuke. Along with all of his other abilities, but just his body alone.
Fun fact, the Colossal Titan can actually control whether his transformation is explosive.
Or not. But even if he doesn't explode, just the impact of his entire body.
Reiner even said, I think we skipped it so far, but he says in a flashback when he's talking to Berthold that Berthold has the strongest Titan power out of them all, and he should be the strongest, but it's actually Zeke, because Berthold kind of always waits to get advice, and he's timid about, taking action and initiative. So, the Colossal Titan is the strongest Titan. You could argue whether some are more useful in certain ways, but so far it's been the strongest Titan.
By the way, Gozen, speaking of flashbacks, how about this story with Marco, how he died?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it, but you tell me.
Well, just with Annie there, it's weird just to see how manipulative these guys were beforehand, and they knew that they couldn't get that secret to go out. Though it's funny because they are so nonchalant with Eren later on, but for them to force her to take away his ODM gear and for him to be eaten by the Titan in the way he was pretty crazy because we didn't get that backstory.
Brutal, man.
Yeah, okay, I wasn't sure how much they gave away before this point and how much was this one.
Ray,
Yeah,
can you imagine our perspective though, watching the first season and like in certain moments, like Reiner and Annie and Bertolt are just standing there reacting to the situation, and like they're saying things, and it's kind of like it doesn't really make sense the first time around, but it does, and then knowing the entire time that they're the Titan shifters, it like blows your mind. Like you need to rewatch the first season at some point just for that.
Yeah, exactly. You get a lot of hinted stuff you get, and how crazy is it? And this is why I think Annie is such an interesting character, because she seemed the most cold-blooded out of them all, right? The most distant in the beginning, right? The other guys were kind of friendly, especially Reiner, while Annie was distant, stayed to herself, and yet she's the one crying. She's the one that saved people. She's the one that cared the most about the actual Survey Corps members. So it's interesting. You can't judge a book by its cover, right?
Clearly, I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, she was actually the one crying over it and not wanting to be involved in everything.
And in that flashback, we get to see Reiner start to develop his like split personality.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what happened there when he starts freaking out after telling her to actually do it.
Yeah, the show makes morality so complicated. Like even when
I agree 100%, and it'll continue to do that.
Yes. Oh, good, because I do like that about the plot. But even when he gets the thunder spears, through his eyes there, everyone's kind of in a weird way. I don't want to say mourning, but they're kind of upset because they had that relationship with him before. And it's weird to kind of celebrate, at least at the time, thinking that he was dead, yet also having that relationship. So everything is just so complicated. Like, again, morality becomes such a thin line, that moral line. So I'm fascinated by that about the show.
I agree too. And what else do we have to talk about then after Reiner? So Reiner calls him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Bertolt's actually supposed to use the explosion immediately, right? Kill everyone in the area. But he sees that Reiner's exposed. So Reiner would die if he used the explosion ability. So first, he stops by Reiner, telling him, yo, turn around if you can. I'm about to use the explosion ability. If you can't, I'm sorry, but I got to do it anyways. So he actually saved Reiner, and he probably could have gotten away with, winning if he didn't show that weakness for Reiner, which is an interesting thing that you might overlook in the first watching. Right? Yeah. Because he literally could have used the nuke when they were unprepared, but instead he gave him a bunch of time to prepare, and it still killed almost anybody, but it could have been like way more deadly. And that's another cool thing about the armored Titan, that it can survive. For some reason, its armor makes it it can survive the explosion of the Colossal Titan. So they make a really good pair, those two.
Yeah, fantastic combo, but Reiner really got wrecked this time around, right?
Bro, I feel like he's getting wrecked constantly. I feel like that's his thing at this point.
Although I do feel like Bertolt developed a little bit in this.
He did 100%
in this arc. Like he made the decision for himself to not use that. Like you could say he hesitated, but I feel like if he was just following orders, he would have done it. But he made the decision to act like by himself, and you could tell like even when he was fighting with Mikasa, he's like, "Is this Bertolt?" Or she was like, "Is this Bertolt? Is it really him?" Like,
yeah, he's like a different person.
Taking the initiative and striking with confidence, right? Confidence is everything. And that's why people would say the Beast Titan is probably more powerful than the Colossal Titan, just because of the person wielding it. Like, exactly. Who would have thought the Beast Titan would be throwing rocks? When, like, if you see that Titan, you think it's just going to be, like, climbing everywhere and smashing things. Meanwhile, the way Zeke uses it is amazing.
Yeah, especially when you're fighting humans.
Oh, yes, exactly.
He showed that he could kick ass when we kind of saw that scene of the armored Titan being completely destroyed and him standing above him. So he beat him. But against humans, it's insane. It's like he's launching multiple machine guns at the same time with the crumbled rocks and just blowing through the buildings, blowing through people. Definitely a force to be reckoned with. By the way, Hookie Wookie, thank you for the donation. Really appreciate it. Yeah. So what else do we got?
So there is the one part, and I'm trying to position where it was because there's so much that goes on here. Irwin decides to launch that like suicide attack of the Beast Titan, and then Levi comes in out of nowhere and is such a badass and cuts up like the Beast Titan's arms, rips the pilot out of the Beast Titan, which I think
you're
happens.
Getting into it, bro. Yeah,
This happens. This happens before the situation with Armin
Yes.
and the Colossal Titan.
So
but you also skipped kind of Irwin's moments.
Yeah, so what the Beast Titan did is he tossed a rock to block the exit so the horses couldn't escape and they couldn't retreat. And then they were just stuck there. And he was slowly throwing these crumbled rocks and breaking the buildings, and they were trapped completely. What Irwin moments are you talking about here, Ghost, before we get into...
Maybe I misunderstood what part Ray was talking about.
So this is when
I thought he was talking about Levi slicing him up. But
yes, he was. So basically what Irwin's plan is they were going to go for a straight-on attack and kind of distract the Beast Titan, because the Beast Titan would be forced to throw rocks at all of them while they're sacrificing their lives. And Irwin realized, if I don't lead this suicide attack, the soldiers won't do it. Like, I can't order them to go into their death. Unless
I love the way he said it all. He's like, it'll take the ultimate con man to trick these guys into running into their deaths, right?
And then he uses that.
Wow.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, wow, what a fucking leader. And that was such a powerful moment between him and Levi, which is because Irwin wants, above all, right? He said he wants to find out the truth. And if he does this, he won't be able to find out the truth. So he makes Levi pretty much make the decision for him, where Levi is like, yes, I'm asking you sacrifice your life for humanity. And that's when he makes the decision. So it's a very powerful moment between those two, and it gives us a sense into their bromance, right? How much they care about each other, respect each other's opinions.
Mm-hmm. And what's it called? Irwin was constantly having these flashbacks to the amount of bodies he's sacrificed for his goal and for humanity, obviously.
That was very powerful. Yeah, we sometimes see them around him. We sometimes see him on top of a pile of them. That's actually a reference, I think, to another comic book called Mouse about World War II, where the character is like riding on top of a bunch of dead bodies. And yeah, that's a fucking very powerful scene.
Yeah, and he's conflicted, right? He's thinking to himself, like, he could just leave right now and go check what's in the basement and accomplish his goal. But it's come to be that it's his turn to sacrifice himself for humanity, and it sucks that he's so close to his goal. But it looks like it's their only way out. And then what Levi's going to do is he's going to, in such a badass way, take out the Titans one by one, grappling from one to another in order to reach the Beast Titan while he's distracted. And it's insane. Levi's an absolute beast.
And it's all the better when he doesn't know what's going on, because this whole time he's like, how are these guys so stupid? This is such a tragedy, wasting their lives, like running in front of me. And then he later figures out when it's too late. But I wanted to ask Ray, what were you thinking was happening when they were just rushing him, dying, kept throwing the smoke in his face? What were your thoughts?
When they were rushing the Beast?
Yeah, like I'm guessing you didn't expect Levi to go from Titan to Titan, or did you expect
I thought
that?
it was stated. Like, Irwin explained.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Okay, all right, because I think in the manga or something, I don't know, I thought it would be a cooler reveal if, like, he didn't explain the plan. He just, like, I got a plan, and then we jumped to it.
Yeah, no,
but
so what ended up happening was Levi was like, okay, but how am I supposed to reach the Beast Titan? There's no buildings, it's just open field. He's like, what do you mean? You have tons of things that are the size of buildings standing next to them, right? And it was
true that, yeah.
It was just so good.
Yeah. No, like, and it's interesting because it shows how even an OP character like Levi, if you don't have a good plan, you can't do anything.
Yeah, in an open field, your maneuver gear, like, the reason why Levi is such a bad, like, is so good at taking out Titans is it's with his maneuver gear. He is so good at maneuvering and, like, using his blades, but if he's stuck on the floor, then there's nothing he could really do.
Yeah, Iron D Ace in the chat brought up the powerful quote that Levi said to Irwin, "Give up on your dream and die." How powerful is that?
That's crazy.
Holy shit. Like, those quotes, man, Attack on Titan has some of the best quotes I've ever seen in any medium, in any work of fiction.
Dude, Erwin's speech to the soldiers as well. Oh,
Yes.
goosebumps.
Yes. No, exactly. And the whole rush and the whole charge as they're doing it. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. Ray, back to you. What were your whole thoughts about this suicidal charge? Like, what were your whole thoughts about Levi and the Beast Titan?
Yeah. So no, the suicidal charge was something that, just going back to what Briggs said, was really powerful to see. Like, that speech was powerful. It took me back to, there's someone I'm reading now. His name is Viktor Frankl. I think goes in, you know him, and he
You're
talks about
rereading A Man's Search for Meaning or a different book?
Man's Search for
Okay.
Meaning. And it's all about the idea that, like, within one's like suffering and adversity, you could craft a meaning. And I love how he crafted that narrative for them to go on that suicide mission there, knowing about, you know, the end result of throwing yourself against these rocks. So I loved how he was able to rally the troops there. It would be like, again, it'd be an awesome character if we had Erwin, and then, like, in terms of his leadership, and then we had Armin's like tactical ability, his strategic ability. So anyways, that was really cool to see. Like I already said, that whole situation with Levi, I think, was one of the most badass moments in the entire show, of him just ripping that beast Titan to shreds. And like right when he ripped the pilot out, he, like, what you could tell, it was the first time where he showed like he was intimidated. Like, he's like, oh fuck, like, here's the guy I knew that, like, you know, this guy was
so much for Marley's strongest warrior, right? Like, he just peed his pants in front of Levi.
And I'm pretty sure Reiner and Bertolt warned Zeke about a soldier named Levi, right? Like, there is one guy who's a threat to humanity.
So it's interesting, Briggs, you mentioned Zeke. Was he actually quoted with that name within this arc?
Oh, did I fuck up?
Only because
I probably did before you.
No, but there was a flashback. Wasn't there a flashback at the end of this season?
Yeah, there was. I'm pretty sure that was confirmed that he's the son, because we had the whole situation with him telling Aaron, like, our father.
Father. So yeah, we may have connected the dots for Ray a little bit too much here, but it's okay. Sorry.
But you were assuming that he's the son, or you were?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, at first I was confused, right? Because when he says, I don't know if he uses our father, like, in terms of referring to both of theirs. Maybe it's in the manga. I don't know.
Also, anyways, the Clark Titan called him War Chief Zeke. So and then the baby was also referred to as Zeke. So
yeah.
I wasn't think he was referring to, like, God or something. He's like,
no,
father.
No.
Who art in heaven?
At first, I was like, "What the fuck?" When he was talking to him before we got the backstory with Zeke, I was like, "Who is this guy?" Because you don't know that he had this. I guess he would be like a half brother.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
I guess he'd be his half brother.
I for some reason I was stupid in my first video about the topic. I called them stepbrothers. I don't know why.
Yeah. No.
It's half brother. It's
half brother. Yeah. But yeah, at first I was confused as hell when he ends up telling him, like, our father ended up, like, you have to look out for him. He is, he betrayed us, I think he says. So I was confused as hell as to who is this guy. But then when we get that backstory later on, after they go into the basement, I put that together right away. Obviously, looking at him as a kid, it looked exactly like him. So, but yeah, that situation there was interesting, how he ends up doing that. But where were we? We get Levi.
So we were at Levi making the Beast Titan piss his pants. Yeah.
Yes.
And I just looked for fun because that's such a hype moment. I'm like, okay, let me find a Levi versus Zeke video on YouTube and see how many views. And there was one posted some months ago, and it's like 4.4 million.
God damn.
Like, it's such a hype moment that, and there are multiple videos obviously posted on YouTube about it, but yeah, that's how hyped this moment was. And you're not alone. And the fact that I think Levi is your favorite character, I think that was a especially cool moment for you, because you got to see him kick ass.
Yeah. And I think after that, he ends up wanting to inject the serum into someone else. So
did you see how he escaped? What did you think about how...
Oh, that one Titan on all fours?
Yeah. So can we say the name? I guess I won't. Do you know the name of the Titan?
No, is it revealed? I don't think so.
Okay.
I already
Then I
said
won't
it,
say
man.
Oh,
God
did
damn
you?
it.
How do you even
Oh,
catch
I'm
up?
so bad at this. I'm so bad at this. Anyway, so what I want to say here is one thing that is one of my biggest pet peeves in like fiction or like anime specifically as well, because it does it a lot, is when like they capture someone and don't kill them, right? It's like you captured the
Yeah.
enemy that's been killing your men and you don't kill them. But the
But you
beauty,
get why he didn't. Yeah,
yes,
okay,
that's what I'm
yeah,
gonna say.
yeah.
Attack on Titan does it so well. So with Zeke, it's like they have this whole thing where if they capture someone and have another Titan, or like use their serum, turn one of their men into a Titan, and have them eat the Beast Titan in this case, you steal their abilities. So it's like you could gain another amazing weapon for society or for humanity, and revive one of your like close comrades that are close to death. So I completely understand why they did it in this case, and I love it. It was the same thing with Reiner. Not only do you have the conflicted feelings of him being like a friend or used to be a friend, but you also have like, okay, we could steal the armored Titan's ability.
Yeah, exactly. There's a strong reason for them to be spared right away, talking, rather than if for some reason they were just talking when they should have been
Dude,
killing.
nothing bothers me more. It's like this guy just killed 100 of your men. If they were just like it happens all the time in anime. Freaking
It's like, let me give you a lecture.
Crocodile
and give time
killed Luffy
for your-
3 times. Get out of here.
No, exactly. And yeah, Attack on Titan does it very well. Attack on Titan, although it has like crazy fantastical elements, at the same time I feel like it's one of the most real. They use realism in the show a lot.
Yes.
And I don't mean everything's realistic, but I mean within the world, everything makes a lot of sense. And they don't go for cheap ploys and cheap like things that are hard to believe within that world. So I appreciate Attack on Titan for that. Yeah. So then after that, how useful is that Titan, by the way? I just want to throw that in there. Like, not only did that Titan save Zeke, it then went on to save Reiner. Again, the plot armor is heavy with this one.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that Titan saved both of them, and then almost saved Bertolt. But there was the whole thing with Eren and Zeke and the conversation and him being ready to kill Bertolt. So luckily, Eren didn't make the mistake the other guys did. But that Titan was insanely useful for their cause.
Mm-hmm.
Things would have been completely different if that Titan wasn't there with its insane speed.
So I think the only thing we've skipped over is Armin and Eren versus the Colossal Titan.
Yes. Okay, so take us through, Ray, your thoughts, because I believe that this was such a powerful moment with Armin showing... I mean, Armin was such a star here, and he's the guy who's, scared of fighting and usually the frightened one. And here he comes up with a plan that causes him to straight up die. Well, or at least he thinks he's 100% going to die in order to defeat the Colossal Titan. So like the most ridiculously hard Titan to defeat. What did you think of that whole story?
Yeah, I just admire the character so much. Thinking back to season 1, when he was made fun of and he was bullied and he was considered a coward amongst other people.
Who's the coward now, bitches?
Oh, I know. Being able to take, like, to go through with that, to know you're going to die. And, like, he stood tall and just took it there and, burnt to a crisp. And, he didn't cower away. It was an amazing moment of courage right there to see. So that was awesome to see. And then, obviously, we get the situation after he ends up burning and dying there. Which I'm trying to think, they end up finding him later that he has like, is he alive slightly, just like
yes.
barely?
Yes.
He's a charred body, but he had a bit of a heartbeat.
Yeah,
you have to be alive slightly to be able to be turned
to be able to get.
So you could be on like the brink of death, but as long as you're slightly still there, you could be brought back. And I think it's really cool that both leaders here, Armin and Erwin, came to the conclusion that they were against all odds and had to make the ultimate sacrifice. Mm-hmm. But now only one of them can be saved.
Yeah, because they don't have the luxury of being like, oh, what about the next fight? They have to be, okay, how can we win this fight? And in this case, it caused both of them to need to sacrifice themselves.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we get that epic moment on the roof there, which this was the in the part one of the season 3. We get that fast forward moment at the very end where this exact scene takes place on the roof between Levi, between Aaron and Mikasa, where they're debating about who's going to get the serum. So I was like partially right with my prediction in terms of it's probably about the serum. But it's funny because when I predicted it, I thought that Levi, because Levi is the one who gets charged by Mikasa, I thought for some reason he was Aaron. He looked like Aaron within the during the last episode. So
wait, you thought Mikasa was trying to kill Aaron? What did you think?
yeah, because you know
Really?
how no, but you know how at this part Levi's eyes are like he's got like crap underneath his eyes, like he's not fully recognizable.
Yeah, he looks like a fucking demon.
Yeah, he looks like like he's not fully recognizable. So when I saw that beforehand, I thought that was Aaron because you know how he usually has the things underneath his eyes, and he could look like that in a way. We've seen that him look
Yeah,
roughed
he
up
has
before.
that emo look sometimes.
Yeah, so I thought it was Aaron. That's why I was like, "What the fuck? Why is Mikasa charging him?" But yeah, we end up finding out that
I think we all know why she would charge Aaron.
well,
carry on.
besides that, yeah. But yeah, we get the moment when he ends up having to decide: does he give it to Erwin or does he give it to Armin? And we have like the whole plea within both sides, and everyone's saying like, give it to Armin because he'll be able to lead us because he has
Not
that
everyone,
strategic
right?
moment. Not everyone, yeah.
Flock, for example, was against it.
Yeah. And even afterwards, we find out later on.
Hanji was against it, yeah.
Yeah. Later on, we find out that like people are harassing Armin because he was the one who was chosen.
It's like, bitch, I'm the colossal titan. Like,
Yeah.
you better watch who you pick on right now.
Yeah, true.
So, Ray, do you think they made the right choice? Or who would you have saved in that situation?
I think I would have saved Armin because I feel like you'll go further with him. Like
Like
I
he has
feel
the
that
potential. He has the potential. Like he's still
He
a
has a
little
lot
bit of a
more
coward
potential.
and still doesn't have the leadership and experience Erwin
and I
does,
think
but
he's
he's
still
got the
developing
brain.
too. Yes, and I think he's still developing as he goes on. Like he's getting more and more strategic. Whereas Erwin, it seems like he's been the same. His strategy has kind of been the same. He hasn't necessarily been
Yeah, he's a
like
badass.
developing. Yeah,
But we need to remember that when it was a decision of how to find Reiner within the walls, right, or where to find them, he put his trust in Armin rather than the other way around.
Mhm.
So that's just a little microcosm, a little example of how Armin can be more useful than why am I'm missing the name here now. Erwin, obviously.
Yeah.
And the fact is, yeah, he doesn't have as much experience, but that means he could get even better than he is now with more experience.
yeah. And at the same time, I was fine because Erwin was okay with dying. Like he ended up being okay with the death and dying nobly like that. So it made it feel a bit better.
Dude, I would have saved Erwin. 100%.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
but
fair
I'm
enough.
biased.
No, exactly. And I like the fact that we have different minds talking about this because, yeah, like we need people who are like, yo, we should have saved Erwin. And just like Hanji was saying it, there's a lot of things that can be said about saving Erwin. Like that now, like who's going to be the leader? Now, Erwin's such a badass. We're going to be missing him in the actual series. But yeah, I would have agreed with Ray. I would have saved Armin if it was up to me too, because if you just look at his track record, like if you actually pay attention, at least 5 times he saved everybody's ass. At least.
Yeah, I think he's
probably
I think
more.
he's got the brains, and that's definitely something that they need to save humanity. I just think there's no way I feel like the brains is a tool that's needed to be used, while like Erwin's charisma and leadership and experience is just like vital. But I guess hopefully
that's totally
Hanj
fair.
and Levi could take over there because there's no way Armin can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Armin's
totally
not
fair.
motivating anyone, bro.
True. But he is brave, so we could give him that for sacrificing
Yes.
his life there. But
He had
I
a lot
agree
of
with you.
potential for growth.
Like I doubt he would have been able to like make them all run into the rocks, right?
No.
Like
He'd
you're not
be
gonna
running
see
by
Armin do
himself,
that.
bro. Like no chance of
Exactly.
following Armin. Get out of here. Maybe if Erwin ordered me to.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of like interesting stuff happening altogether with that decision, right? What else is there to talk about? Is there just the aftermath, or is there something else we want to cover right now?
Well, the aftermath, I think, is the Survey Corps is as thin as ever. I think they say only 9 soldiers
Yeah,
survived.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's the aftermath. But obviously, when they end up injecting and choosing Armin, he ends up consuming Bertold, which, is crazy because now he ends up having the Colossal Titan power.
Oh yeah, what I
Um,
wanted to ask is, what did you think about Levi's rationale? Because Levi said, "I didn't pick for Armin to live. I picked for this to be the place where Erwin dies."
mhm.
What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a good argument because for Irwin, we understand it's all about, you know, doing the noble thing, and I think dying nobly there was
He
important
never
for
achieved
crafting
his
his
goal,
narrative.
man. It hurts me so much. He never
Yeah,
found out the truth, what was in the basement. He was
It's
like 10
true.
minutes late.
It's true, but at the same time, I don't know. It seemed like he had a face of relief when Levi told him to just die. You
Yeah,
know,
like he accepted it. And Levi
and I
even
think
says, why drag Erwin back into hell when he could just
yeah,
die a warrior's
exactly.
death happily? Like, Erwin did
And
accept it in the end.
yeah, and when you're dead, like you're not like, oh man, why didn't I, do this when I was alive? You're
Well,
dead, you know. So,
and yeah, and
so there's that.
he contributed to the journey to find the truth. So, for him, does it matter that he was there to see it,
Yes.
or is
Oh
it meaning
God.
enough that he was able to contribute in
And I
some way?
almost forgot this. Thank you, Dominicus, for pointing it out. Because Erwin pulls his arm away as he's dreaming about talking to his dad. So that was another sign that made Levi think twice, right? Because he was going to inject him, and then all of a sudden he put his arm up as if asking a question, and Levi interpreted that as a kind of rejection of kind
Yeah,
of
that's
not
what I
back.
yeah.
Yeah. So that slipped my mind, but that was an important reason too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had that. Then there was kind of the wrapping up, which consisted of them, kind of him. That whole Historia part was in there too, right? When Aaron was about to say, "Oh shit, I figured out what might be the reason," and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, never mind." Oh yeah, they also went to jail, right? We had that moment which is ridiculous because it's like, these guys saved the world, but they disobeyed for a second. But that's another question about what's the right thing to do. If they let him go with no kind of veneer of punishment, could they maintain control? Would everything fall into chaos? What would that result in? So yeah, it's hard to know what the right thing to do is. But what did you think about the stuff, Ray, after that actual battle when we get to the other parts?
Are we referring to the basement?
Yeah, the basement, obviously, and the wrapping up, the ocean, all of that.
Yeah.
But we can jump wherever you want to talk.
I think the talk of the ocean, I think, is after the basement.
It
I
is.
have it on episode 58. So do you want to get right into the basement then?
Yeah, we can. So
All right.
yeah, they go finally step towards the basement, and it's such like it's so funny because this has been built up so much. This moment, the key is in his hand. He puts it in. It doesn't work for the lock. What the fuck?
And then Levi just like, fuck this, kicks door down.
That was hilarious.
Imagine he didn't need the key the entire time.
No, yeah, so that was crazy because there was so much significance with the key. Part of me wonders, I gotta admit, wonders when they got in, if like people would have, if they were really trying to find something there, if they would have seen the keyhole, right? Because the whole thing was Grisha Jaeger made it look like everything was cool in there and like he was just a normal doctor. But I feel like if they did an extensive search, like you would find that keyhole. Yeah, it even looks like a keyhole.
If he doesn't give anyone a reason
he's
for
not,
an extension.
He's not being suspicious.
If he's not being super suspicious, if anyone were to walk in there or look through his stuff, like he's like everything seems normal at face value. It's only in the one locked drawer.
Yeah, and he has the fake bottom and everything. Like he definitely put a lot of work into it. Um, Plus, yeah, he's actually has a family. Like he's done a really good job of actually blending in as Kruger asked him to.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, there's a lot more to talk about. I forgot how much more there is.
This whole episode, 57, had probably the most information out of the entire series.
Yeah, and I absolutely loved it. It was mind blowing. Like when people say mind blowing, like this is what I think of when shit feels like it's expanding your mind to learn about it. And I have that with Borges stories, if anyone out there is a fan of literature, and I have it with this moment in Attack on Titan. But go ahead.
Yeah, like it's mind blowing and as well super important to world building in that we find out when they go into the basement, they see, for example, like the photograph within the book and realize that there's a whole like civilization out there that they're unaware of. And basically what we find out is that what they've been told, the history they've been told is a lie. And so
surprise.
I know.
Yeah,
history is subjective.
That wasn't even surprising, right? That was a lie. It was just like how far away from the truth it was. That was like the crazy thing. Yeah, so we get into that. I love the photography part myself when they were like, hey, look, it's a painting. No, it's not a painting. It's a reflection of light caught on paper. Like, it's so interesting. It kind of makes me think about how many things we take for granted now when, like, even an old photograph for us, which is, like, super old, for them would be like, what is this witchcraft? So I enjoyed that. But yeah, carry on. Do we just jump now into the whole Marleyan backstory?
Yeah, I can. I wrote it all down, so I have it here.
Did you tell us just how fucking into the basement reveal you were? Like, did you tell us how much it melted your mind?
Well, what
was your reaction to it? Because I don't know if it was just me reading the manga at a special time and place, or if the anime got it across as well.
No, I think it did. I mean, I would argue that it was probably one of my favorite parts of the series, and it was, in my opinion, it's the number one kind of I don't know if the right phrase is plot anchor, but it's the most important thing that pushed the plot into where it is now. Like it was able to push the story along in such a way like that no other event has within the series. So,
and I want to just say one more time, how cool is it that it lived up to the hype?
Yes.
Because that could have, like, there was so much hype around it, and it totally lived up to it. Well, sometimes things don't live up that much to the hype when they're brought up so much. So, yeah, now jump to the backstory to Grisha's childhood. Take us through that, Ray, and your thoughts.
All right. So, yeah, we learn that... Whoop, crap, sorry, I got to readjust it here. Okay,
I don't know what he's doing.
I have an iPad with the notes, and when I clicked on it, it went right to the bottom of the iPad, so I had to move it back up.
Fucking iPad.
So sorry about that.
I just want to apologize if I'm a little bit quiet here for the next 2 minutes or so. Ray, I trust in you boys to take it away.
All right, cool. So we get this situation where this was actually, I think, in the previous episode, before 57, where we get Grisha and his sister going beyond the walls to break the rules in order to see the airships, and they end up getting stopped by the guards, and we find out that his sister was killed and he's beaten up for going beyond the wall. So it's almost like you kind of hint that there might be this world out there beforehand. I think his sister's name is Faye as well. That's revealed. But anyways, the backstory is, I think this is from Aaron's grandfather who tells it.
But let me just say this.
Yes.
You saw the parallel between Grisha and his walls and him wanting to escape the walls and Aaron with the so it's different, but in a way you could totally get why Grisha was sympathetic to Aaron when he's like, I want freedom. I want to see what's outside the walls.
Yeah,
like,
he was in the same situation in Marley.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, keep going. Like, Grisha's story is so good, and yeah, the whole Aaron Kruger stuff, I absolutely loved it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I want to also, in terms of the grandfather, what he reveals, it's the idea that 1820 years ago, there was the ancestor Ymir who made a pact with the devil to obtain the power of the Titans. And after her death, her soul split into 9 Titans who went on to build the Eldian Empire, which is the empire that Grisha is part of.
Well, so, it's no longer an empire, but Grisha's trying to
the
restore it. Yeah.
Yes. So we learned that for 1,700 years, the Eldian Empire tried to get rid of others, which is interesting because on the one hand, you want to easily side with the Eldians, right? But you did learn that the Eldians did try to get rid of the Marleyans and considered them others and went to war with them. So I don't know, are the Eldians as innocent as we make them out to be? Like, I know they were, put into these kind of internment camps in a way afterwards. That's the thing, man.
But you got to also ask yourself, does this new generation, should they have to pay the price for the actions of the previous generation, right? So
I don't think so.
That's the thing. Like, I don't think anyone's super innocent in Attack on Titan, but this whole thing that Marley is doing is they're punishing these guys who were born and did nothing wrong, right? Because of the assumed atrocities committed by their ancestors, which right now, I mean, we're not 100% sure what happened because there are different stories, right? That Ymir was a goddess and then that Ymir was a devil. Like, there are those two versions.
Yeah.
And we're not right now sure which one to believe. But whatever it is, I mean, I don't think this prejudice towards Eldian people is justified.
Mm-hmm. And we're also not told, at least yet, I don't think so, why she made the pact with the devil or how. Right, we're just told that she made it.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like religion.
It reminded me of Eve and Satan
fighting the apple. The forbidden apple.
I think she actually has an apple within that image too.
Yeah, I do think there are religious undertones there, and I mean that's how things develop, right? From historical accounts, and then they turn into myth. And again, the Attack on Titan question is, how do we get to the truth of all this? Will we ever get to the truth of all this? And I'm jumping a bit ahead, but Kruger is like, there is no truth. Truth is what people agree is truth, which is so
Orwellian,
postmodern, it's crazy. Yeah. And Orwellian too, yeah. But no, you can't argue that because, if people are acting like something's the reality, then for all intents and purposes it is, but still, you want to know what actually happened. So hopefully we figure out one day as Attack on Titan's finishing.
Yeah, I'm curious. Did she make the pact with the devil out of selfishness or as a way to go beyond human because she was just bored with her life? We're not really given that backstory. So in a way, there's almost I don't want to call it a fall, but it's humans being humans. It's us not necessarily liking our surroundings, so wanting to do something immoral to add something to our lives. So I don't know. It's interesting, that whole situation. Now humans are now the enemy. It's not necessarily Titans.
Yeah, and I think that's been, although it wasn't at the foreground, I think that's been something that applied throughout Attack on Titan.
Yeah,
that humanity is the enemy. Humans are the enemy, because even within the walls, when you start losing land, you get people wanting to keep other people out, right? And wanting them to die and so that they can remain safe. So as long as Pixis said before, as long as more than one person exists, or maybe it was Aaron, I'm not sure now. As long as more than one person exists, peace can never be certain. And that's definitely true from what we've seen in Attack on Titan so far.
Yeah, but at least when it comes to that, at least beforehand, the reason why humans acted that way was because you thought it was a result of the Titans. So it was a result of a non-human threat, why people acted unjustly. But here you get the idea that it was human corruption itself that was at the center of this plot. So we get that. We get as well, we're told that the Marleyans end up controlling 7 out of the 9 Titan powers that sparked the Titan War for 80 years. And the Marleyans won, and it pushed the Eldian king back to Paradise Island, where this is where we're currently located now. So it gives us some context in terms of where they are now. He ended up resurrecting those walls. So it's interesting just to get the geography of things now and compare Paradise Island to Marley. So things are starting to make more sense now. I'm not like necessarily, not in the clear anymore about like just where they are located, because that's been pissing me off. I've been like, where are they? Like, and what's with this whole time period thing? So
have they showed any maps yet? Or no?
Yeah, well, we get the map of comparing Marley and Paradise Island.
All right, so you do get the map. So if you actually flip the map, you get a very specific place in the world, which is interesting. But we can address that later, or like if you want to look at it for next episode or whatever. But yeah, it's actually seems like straight up they took a part of the globe, a map from the real world, and just like flipped it upside down. Which is another interesting thing, because that's what Attack on Titan is doing. It's always flipping what we think we know and showing us in a different light. Yeah, and I think that's what makes Attack on Titan so good. You never know what's going on, who's the real bad guy. And this whole part is saying, and like, again, I think Marley sucks, but it's showing, you're right, that they're not just the pure perpetrators, and that they were at one point victimized as well, right? And even they have Eldians working for them, clearly, right? With Reiner and them. So there's so much gray area here.
There is, absolutely. What else do we have? So I mentioned how they retreat to the island. We learned that there were Eldians left behind in Marley, and how they were put into these internment zones. And this is where Aaron's father grew up, in one of these zones.
And they wear armbands, right? So it's very
kind of like the Jewish...
very reminiscent of World War II.
Yes. So then we get that. We learn that when he's a doctor, he sees a patient named, I think his name's Grisha. And
Grice,
he said,
I think.
Grice, yeah.
But maybe they say Grisha. But yeah, Grice is how I say it.
Yeah. He says he knows about how the guard killed his sister, and then his father ends up joining this movement to restore
how the fuck does he know that? Like, I don't even know how he knows that.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I just kind of... It's funny, because I never even questioned that. Last week we were talking about certain things in the plot, like questioning in terms of, how did that even happen? I didn't even question it. I'm like, all right, let's just go with that.
Yeah, but maybe Grisha hasn't been as quiet about it as he should have been, but yeah, we don't know. But yeah, that's so stupid too. That's another stupid thing. Like, why are you putting like a cut mark in yourselves? Like, how easy would it be for people to identify you?
Oh,
like,
it's stupid.
It's such a stupid idea.
But is it almost like blood brothers, I guess?
No, it
like
is.
That's the sign?
It is, but you can definitely tell they're not being realistic. They're being fanatical, right? Yeah. And you can tell that in some of the things where, like, when he's talking to people, like, he has this crazy look in his eye too, right? Like when he's like leading them, and there's this one part where he's like, clearly Emir was helping the people build bridges on mountains. She was making the world a better place. And it's like, oh, I didn't know you could translate this. It's like, I can't, but isn't it obvious? I trust Emir. It's like pure delusion. You know what I mean? Which is fair, because, the other history is probably just as much of a delusion, but clearly they're not thinking just rationally right now.
No. Yeah, so we end up learning about how this kind of like gang of rebels take their commands from someone named the Owl, who I don't think he actually meets before this. Like, it's not until later. He doesn't actually know.
Meets the Owl when he was there, when he was the one kicking his ass, right? When he went outside of the...
But he didn't know it was the Owl.
No, he didn't know it was the Owl.
No. Yeah, so we find out like who the Owl is, so it's on the back of our mind as
like the
as
Owl is
viewers.
smart. Like he's how everybody should have been. Like, you could bet he didn't have a freaking cut mark on him. No. He was very careful, like changing his papers and everything. Like, if everyone was like him, this whole Eldia restorationist movement would have gone a lot better. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah. Then we end up getting that shocker of the reveal about Grisha's wife and how she had royal blood. They have a son named Zeke. Um, and basically, what they want to do is they want to get him to get into the Marley military program in order for him to be able to like go past the walls and end up getting the founding Titan power. So yeah, we get them trying to brainwash him, and it's funny because like the images, his eyes are just he looks so out of it, like he just looks like he doesn't want anything to do with what they're doing. And sure enough, he ends up turning them in and saying that they're basically like I don't know any other way to put it, but like blaspheming against the government. So that ends up bringing both of them to the situation where they get put on the wall.
How stupid is it to trust a child with such a heavy responsibility?
Oh, I know.
Like,
again, it is their own fault. Yeah,
it's a part of their it's a part of their fanaticism. They're like, we're the chosen ones. There's nothing can go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're fighting evil, and they make so many mistakes along the way. And here we're starting to get a little sense of where Zeke is coming from, which is interesting because so far he's just been like this enemy guy, right?
Yeah.
So seeing him as a kid kind of shifts the way we look at him, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that was interesting getting that whole backstory there.
I just want to say this. Kaiser says, it seems people trust children with war a lot in this show. If I had to pick anything unrealistic about this show, it's how much which is fine because this is like a shonen, it's classified as a shonen, but how much they trust kids with war stuff in this show. Because when they sent, Reiner and stuff, they were kids.
And Aaron's training as a kid too.
So how can you expect? Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how can you expect everything to go well or blame them when you sent literally kids to fucking to fight an entire people? Like, it's crazy. But I enjoy the show. I love the show. But yeah, it is unrealistic to expect kids to do so much.
Yeah, it is interesting too, contrasting Zeke and the others, because we get a lot of young people, whether it be Aaron, Armin, etc., who they want to go beyond those walls and they want to not just live this kind of blind life. But Zeke, like, he didn't want that. He was against the whole situation of like questioning the government. So he was someone who, was fine with staying behind and not necessarily rebelling and going beyond those walls. So in the one sense, maybe they trust the young people because they're willing to put their life on the line and not just live blindly. But then at the same time, this guy is fine with that. But let's go to this is the part where I think the parents end up going to the wall, and we find out.
Let me just say that gross guy. You know that gross guy?
Yeah. The gross guy, yeah.
Yeah, like he is literally gross and his name is gross. But he is arguably the least redeemable, or like, I don't even want to say redeemable because a lot of people aren't redeemable, but like he's one of the most cartoonish villains in this entire thing, right? Because everyone else, you kind of see that there's another side to them. But with him, he literally views Eldians as animals and enjoys watching them die. Right? Which, even if you enjoy watching animals die, that's fucking insane. You're fucked up. But here, he's enjoying watching humans die. So although he even says, like, I would feel terrible if something like this happened to my kids. So there is that kind of a bit of relatability, but the least relatability out of anyone in the entire show.
He says that, and then, sorry guys, I'm back.
Welcome back. Yeah.
He says that, and then he acts like a complete asshole and sees them like animals.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, he is by far, like, the one who most deserved, like, his just desserts, right? When he got thrown over, he's like, I live my life close to death. And it's like, how about this close? And he's like, no, too close. So that was hilarious. But yeah, and what happened with Grisha? He didn't enjoy it. He actually didn't find it interesting. It took out like all of the drive he had. So that was a very interesting moment, but I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Ray, you could come back to initially when they had Dinah on the wall and everything like that.
Yeah, so we find out at this moment that what they end up doing, the Eldians, I guess, who are rebelling against the Marleyans, they end up injecting them with the Titan serum, so then they'll be mindless Titans, and they'll just kind of wander outside of the walls aimlessly and not have a purpose to life. Their purpose will be wiped from them. Their humanity will be wiped from them. So that's the punishment, which we end up getting. We learned about that. We just didn't know why beforehand with Emir, the other Emir that we, I think she's from season 2, right? So we knew this happened, but we didn't know why this happened. So in this,
or how exactly it happened,
or how. So in this situation, we finally understand why that's the case. And yeah, I mean, it's heartbreaking to see him like look at his wife and think that like this is going to be not just the end of the relationship, but like she won't remember him, and she's going to become like this possible killing machine without even knowing about it.
It's also an amazing weapon to keep their enemies away and keep the other people within their walls. It's like you're putting all these weapons out in between you, right?
Yeah, which is funny because like the king in the walls wanted that anyways, to like be in the walls. So
yes.
That's not really like he doesn't care about that. But yeah, like they are punishing these people. And the thing is, he views the monsters they turn into as Titans as like their real selves, like gross. But instead of seeing them as humans who happen to turn into Titans if they're injected with spinal fluid. So that's
it's just spinal fluid, right?
Yes. So it's spinal fluid it's Titan spinal fluid.
Yes, Titan spinal fluid. So
that turns them in.
So they could technically get as much as they want off of Aaron and Armin now, if they wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works because they don't
know how to do it. They don't
seem to necessarily do that, but that's they keep saying it's Titan spinal. Yeah, so I don't know if there's a specific way that they have to extract it and like put it together. Like, there is some science behind it, which we don't fully understand.
Yeah, so they probably don't fully understand it yet either at this point in the story. Because for me, it's like they should always be walking around with a couple serums on them. That way,
just in case
they have the opportunity to eat like Reiner next time,
Yeah, exactly. No, that's very true.
But I did not predict that whole Dinah situation when she turns into the smiling Titan.
Yeah, how crazy was that, man?
Oh my God.
Because she doesn't really smile before. Like, you don't... I don't know. I didn't
put
when we were introduced to her. I didn't put
There's
two and
so
two
many
together.
twists here, right? And like that Kruger was Owl. Like, dude, the basement followed by Dinah twist, followed by Zeke is the brother, followed by like all of this stuff. Like so many twists in a row. Like this series is so good. Like I'm just gonna goat it, man. It's so good. Like keep going.
Yeah. So no, that was crazy. Crazy to see, and then just the reveal as well of Owl there as Kruger was crazy, and learning his backstory and learning that he has one of those founding Titan powers, and the whole reveal about the 13 years was crazy because he wants now Grisha.
Aaron said he had 8 left.
8 left, yeah. So he wants him to have the serum injected so he could eat him in order to carry on the Titan power, the founding Titan power. So that was crazy to learn about, and how there's just a timeline on things now. Like there's you can't just expect to live forever. Like you need to be strategic in how you pass this down, because I think they revealed that if someone dies, this is something else. So if someone dies before the 13 years, the power will become present within one of Emir's descendants.
Right? Yeah, so it'll go to a random newborn baby.
Yeah, but if someone ends up dying at the 13th year, what happens to the power?
No, that's what I'm saying. If they die at the 13th year, they'll go to a random baby.
Okay, so they just can't have possession of it anymore. It'll just go.
Yeah, we haven't seen it. No, I think they'll die. Yeah, like Emir's curse, they'll die, and it'll go to another random Eldian baby, one of the 9 Titan shifters. And we haven't actually seen it but we've been told that that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly it seems to be the case because the guy looks worn out, right? And it looks like he's ready to pass on his power. But yeah, there was so much crazy stuff here, including Grisha eventually saying, if I knew that this is what freedom would cost, I never would have pursued it. Which is such a mind-blowing thing to say, right? Because what is Eren going to have to pay to get what he defines as freedom, right? And yeah, we'll talk more about that when we get to the ocean part.
It's interesting. It's like this kind of defeatist mentality of, I'd rather live in the dark than actually have to, get this far and then be pushed to the position I'm in. Like, it's sad to see.
Yeah, it's like he got the revenge that, you'd in theory love to see. The guy who killed your sister was brutally, got his own medicine in front of your eyes, and he didn't even enjoy it. He just wanted no part of, the killing anymore and all of that. So it was crazy to see. Anything else with the Kruger part, with him saying Mikasa and Armin? How did you feel when he said that? Were you like, what's going on?
So at first I thought, what's going on? But then I thought it's got to have to do with the power that he has. Because he said something like, he quoted them, and then he said, I don't know how I know this. So I'm like, it must be some sort of power that he possesses, that he's just not, he's aware of it, but he's just not he can't figure out how. So it's got to be some kind of fortune telling power that he has.
How do you make it sound so lame? It's the coolest power. It's he can see the future, and you're like, it's some fortune telling thing.
He's a fortune teller, man.
Oh man, Briggs, do you remember how you felt when you initially figured out him saying Mikasa and Armin?
Grisha said Mikasa and Armin, correct?
No, Kruger. He's like, you must do it. You must carry on the story you started, and you have to save Mikasa and Armin.
Oh my god.
And then he's like, who the fuck are Mikasa and Armin? He's like, I don't know. They're not my memories.
Oh man, I'm sure I freaked out, man. Honestly, I'm a little bit out of it right now because I'm doing a draft for this Twitch Rivals thing, so I apologize.
Yeah, I just don't want to leave you out because I sometimes hear you laugh. So I'm like,
no, I was just laughing at his reaction. He reminds me of Adamak sometimes.
That's hilarious. But Ray, back to you.
All right. I think we learned shortly after too about the sea. You mentioned that before, and how the sea. Yeah, we learned about the sea covers 70% of the Earth's surface, and it's that. Yes, it's the separating point between the two locations. What else do I have here? I have we talked about the 8 years Eren has. Let's see. We went through a lot there. I think that's it in terms of that flashback there. I guess each of the 9 Titans has its own name, and Eren is currently, which we already kind of knew, in possession of 2 of them. He has the Attack Titan and the Founding Titan. And then I think we shift to Historia.
Yeah, I do want to just say Kruger, I think he's a very interesting character. I think his decision was very difficult to make, right? He really loved, he was the biggest leader of the Eldian Restorationists, and yet he had to go through torturing other Eldians so people don't find out his role, so that he can eventually help the Eldian Empire. So I think that's the most, one of the most fucked up stories in the whole series, and it's asks what's right, what's wrong.
It reminds me of...
Would it have been better for him not to torture anybody, but for the Eldians to be forever in bondage? Or was he justified in torturing them so that he could eventually help more Eldians? So it's it's such a... you don't know. You don't know what the right answer is.
It reminds me of, except this example is a little bit more to the extreme, but when Levi is talking about how we can't really worry about we have to worry more about the ends rather than the means. Like we have to be okay with doing things that we feel maybe
so everyone
wrong.
everyone on Rant Cafe enjoys us dropping the Machiavellian word, so let's just do it. Machiavellian, right? Like the ends justify the means. So yeah, I think that's what this show is about. And I think this show really calls into question at what point, if any, is that not the case? So let's keep asking ourselves that and thinking about that as we look at what already happened and what will happen.
Yeah. Well, like you kind of said earlier, if he didn't do what he did, that being Kruger, then, the plan wouldn't have worked out the way it did. So, he had to do that in order for Grisha to be able to eat him and carry on that Titan power. So, I don't know.
Yeah, how weird would that sentence be if someone had no knowledge of Attack on Titan? But yeah, no, yeah, I just want to say Kruger is, for me, a very underrated character it's because he has a short period of time in the story, but he's one of the most fascinating to me. Mm-hmm. And you noticed, I assume, that Grisha gave Kruger's name to his son, right? Yeah, Aaron. Did you think about that?
Yeah, no. Right when he said Aaron Kruger, I thought that's interesting, considering his son's name is Aaron. So, yeah,
it's like, wow, what a coincidence!
What are the odds?
This show is full of coincidences.
Yeah, exactly.
So clearly, he still had memories, right? Remember how he came back and he didn't have memories?
He still had memories. Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, you're bringing it to the point. Yeah, so that whole amnesia story was a lie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Ray, I'm guessing you figured that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he just had to make it to the wall, and because he had no idea what it was like inside, he had to say, oh, hey guys, I don't know how this works, help me.
So, yeah. Meanwhile, he's like, oh yeah, but I remember how to be a doctor.
Yeah, I remember how to save all of you by inventing something that was already invented 100 years ago to heal this disease. So yeah, it's pretty hilarious. They must view him as this fucking genius. He could write all the Beatles songs and just be like, that was me, guys.
Is that what you would do if you're from the...
No, I wouldn't. It's just a movie Ray told me about before where a guy starts doing all these famous songs because he travels back in time or something.
Yeah.
I would just invest in Tesla, man, and Bitcoin.
I mean, yeah, but after a certain point, it's you got enough money, you know.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you got to find other things to do. But yeah, Ray, keep going.
Yeah, so I think we get the situation where we're with Queen Historia, and we end up getting. I think is this where Aaron kisses her hand, or was that before?
Yeah, I think around this area is where when she. Yeah, I think this is the section where he kisses her hand and he gets that reveal of was it the founding Titan?
I think his father begging Frida to use the founding Titan power.
And she won't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, Grisha, even though Zeke's saying he's such a bad guy, clearly he was please use this power. Please save us. I have a wife and a child. I don't want anything to happen to them. So he was being very reasonable.
And it was the same thing with Raid Ross, right? He was saying that he just came in and killed all of us and stole our power, when in reality he wanted them to use the power to save humanity, and the founding Titan refused because they take on the goals of the first king type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. His philosophy. So yeah, I think that post everything that happened, Grisha on the island is one of the most reasonable characters, and it's just he what is he gonna do? Is he gonna let his whole family die, or is he gonna take the power? So yeah, I think that's a very interesting moment. But yeah, so what else do we have at that moment? Obviously, Aaron hid the truth about the whole Dinah Titan thing.
Yeah.
Anything else notable?
Yeah, and I think he's afraid if he reveals about how he got that spark from kissing her hand, that they would do something to Historia. So he's
Yeah,
keeping that.
I don't think that's the same kind of thing, but
So
you, yeah.
yeah, so he's doing it. So he has the founding titan power, but he's able to get the spark by touching those who have royal blood.
And you know what was interesting too? With and I with Krista or with Historia, she touched Emir's letter, right?
Mhm.
That said she wanted to marry her, and that sparked her getting the memories of
Hmm.
what happened to Emir. So it's clearly it can work in a lot of different ways, and the memories can come through at different times. It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific person or something. Like it could even be a thing, which was interesting for me to kind of find out and think about.
Yeah, why did both of their names have to be Amir too?
Well, that's
He was named after her.
that's on purpose, right? Yeah,
Like, yeah, she was named after her.
exactly. Yeah,
It was
she was
just
named
so
after the religious. Because remember, the whole thing was like she was part of this religious cult kind
yeah,
of thing.
it was just so confusing at first because when they name dropped Amir, and talked about her making the pact with the devil, I'm like, wait a minute, is this the Amir we know? And then obviously because we know we talked about her wandering outside the walls for a long time.
Wow,
But
dude, Ymir and Ymir and Aaron, these coincidences are crazy.
Yeah, no, yeah, there's like this repetition factor going on for sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything, Ray, you wanted to say before we move on to the sea?
Dude, there's a lot that happened in these 13
I
episodes or
know.
12 episodes.
I'm like,
oh
I
my
was,
God.
dude.
I think it
guys,
was 10. Was it 10?
I think it may have only been 10 this time.
Yeah, I
Oh
think
my
it was
God.
like 10 or 8. Like, it was crazy. And the whole time I was thinking in the beginning, I'm like, yeah, I want to wrap up quick because Briggs has some stuff to do. And now this is like our longest podcast ever.
Yeah, and I just feel bad because I was supposed to be at 5. Like, it was supposed to be at 5, but now here I am in the chat while doing a podcast, having to like randomly mute myself and talk in this other chat for the Twitch Rivals thing. It's like, it was supposed to be at 5. That's the time that it said.
Yeah, so Briggs has been a huge sport about this. Obviously, like, you know, he can't partake 100%, but yeah, that's how it turned out. There was so much more to talk about than anyone expected here.
Yeah, this is one of our longest episodes. We're running at an hour 30 already.
Yeah, for sure. And so we're moving on to the sea, Ray?
Yeah, that's probably the best.
That's pretty much the last scene that we have to talk about. And yeah, with the sea, such a powerful moment. You have everything Armin always dreamed about finally coming. Everyone's happy. We see Mikasa smile, which does not happen a lot. So it's a huge deal. It seems awkward almost.
I just realized too, she had like not an active role in these episodes. She took a pretty big backseat compared to.
Well, she helped with like, you know, getting Reiner with the thunder spears and stuff like that.
This is probably her quietest sequence of episodes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, she is one of the main characters. But yeah, you're right. She is amazing. I really like her as a character.
I love at the sea when they end up like freaking out because it's like, oh my god, there's salt in the water, and they look at the shell. I think Hanji ends up picking up the shell, and Levi's like, put that down. It could be poisonous.
Yeah, just so funny.
Exactly.
Like, they didn't know what a photograph was. Everything's new to them. They were sheltered their entire life.
Yeah, because they the sheltered part is very true. Because Levi is like, I don't know what to expect. Be careful. Like, don't touch it. Like, why is it salty? What's going on? And Armin was right, which was awesome, right? But the most powerful moment here is this is supposed to be it. They thought when they get to the sea, that symbolizes their freedom, and all of a sudden, Aaron's like, now on the other side of the sea is a world that wants to kill us. And so if we kill all of them, if we kill all of our enemies, will that finally mean we're free? Is that what we have to do to be free? And it's like, it never ends, right? Like there's this path to freedom. And it's like every fucking time they think they're there, there's this whole greater enemy to take care of. So, yeah, I thought that was, in a sense, a very cool moment where they finally accomplished one of their big time goals. But at another thing, it was like they only figured out that they have much more enemies than they thought, and that the world is more complicated than they thought.
Yeah, and it's certainly complicated because it's a lot more technologically advanced there.
Yeah, Yeah, and it's like, when are they going to attack? What are we going to do? Like, how can we fight advanced technology? Like, there's so much to consider, and we'll see. Like, there's only one season left, right? So we're gonna actually have to talk about that. But anything else for just that part? How do you think? Like, do you think they're ever gonna reach freedom, Ray? Like, what do you think is going on here? At what point are they gonna stop chasing freedom?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't even really know at this point what freedom necessarily is supposed to look like.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing freedom just means you can live your life and not worry about being
External force, or
about external things trying to kill you. I'm guessing that's what it means. But yeah, is that even possible in the human world to get to that point where you have no possible enemies?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue no, and yeah,
like clearly there are still wars going on in the real world, so clearly we haven't figured out the secret to like all to peace forever or anything.
Yeah, and we've learned a lot of times like the enemy is within, and we could be our own enemy at times. I'm still curious about that whole backstory about Amir making the pact with the devil, like the reason why.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's revealed in season 4, because I feel like that could tell us some things, but it's just supposed to show humans.
Season 4, bro, you think you got some answers? Season 4 will give you way more answers. So yeah, never fear. You will learn more about everything. So yeah, we have that to look forward to. Briggs, are you there?
I am here, yes.
Did you figure out what episodes you want to watch? Do you want to catch up to it, or you want to just do episodes, the first 8, and then like split it up more?
Is the season gonna be done? Like, how many episodes are left of this season?
The season is not gonna be done, and I don't think we're that close to finishing the anime. So 8 leads us up to a certain point. Like, I feel like it's its own arc kind of thing. And so maybe we like watch the first 8 episodes, and then we watch the rest, and then we move on to the manga. And by the time we get the final chapter drops, that could be like our last episode of the
we could do that, because there's only 3 episodes left of the anime, so we could maybe break this up into the anime up into 2 episodes, and then jump to the manga.
What I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
I think that's a good way. So the first, we're gonna do the first 8 episodes of the 4th season, guys.
Sounds good, man.
So UB was gonna suggest that too. So perfect. Yeah, and I think that'll lead us to the next kind of self-contained arc, and then that'll lead us to the next thing. Okay, any final thoughts, guys, for this, our longest episode ever?
Well, I think it's the longest for a reason. It was definitely my favorite episode so far. So
well said.
Yeah, no, it was great. And now I do have to say my appreciation for the show has gone way up. And I actually asked someone this week. I said, because someone mentioned to me that they're an anime fan. I said, "Do you watch Attack on Titan?" And they said yes. And I looked so cool in that moment. I was so proud of myself.
That's awesome, man.
The anime virgin telling us what he's going through in life. I like it. That should be like a BuzzFeed series. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyways, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in. If you want to ever catch the live show, if you feel like it, on the Rant Cafe Twitch, we do this around 3 p.m. on Eastern Time on Mondays. So, and then obviously you guys can find full episodes on all of the podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It would be awesome if you enjoy this stuff to support us by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We read all of them. And until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.
Bang!